Hey, Amy, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, James. Live from Sheboygan, Michigan on my boat.
I think I hear seagulls in the background.
Now, you might, or a goose, or a sandhill crane. You never know what might be squawking in the background.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. So not all of us have gargantuan yachts like you, but that's okay. That's okay. Well, hey, we got a lot to talk about today. I've got a full agenda. Here are some things that I wanted to talk with you about. So the question of the week actually came in. China's new AI model that's going to challenge our U.S. rivals. We'll learn a little bit more about that. We've got ChannelCon 2026, some outcomes from the ChannelCon conference we wanted to chat about. And then another question that came in, what are some good tools to help you manage and run your weekly leadership meetings more efficiently? Okay, so those are some of the topics that we've got. So are you ready to get started?
2-question day. I think I can handle it. Let's go.
All right.
This is the SMB Community Podcast, the longest-running MSP-focused podcast in the industry.
I'm James Kernan. My background's IT sales, marketing, and leadership, and most recently, M&A advisory services.
And I'm Amy Babinchak. I help MSPs run stronger, more profitable firms from a tech-first perspective.
Here, you'll find practical insights for MSPs and IT service providers. Powered by Small Biz Thoughts.
Let's start off at the top with the question of the week that came in. What are some good probing questions, pre-sales probing questions to get the conversation going with a prospect around AI opportunities?
Yeah, I would start off by thinking about this just as I do in the technology review meetings. So I would ask them questions about what AI models are they using? What are they purchased subscriptions for already? Ask them what they're finding really useful about those things. Because once you know what they have, what they're subscribed to, that might lead into a conversation of, hey, you need to get the subscriptions going on this to make it safe and secure. But it also you're going to lead them into, question about what are you using it for today? Oh, that's a pretty good idea. Here's some other things you might consider doing with AI that you're not doing today.
Yeah, I love it. I agree with you. It's you want to make it conversational, right? But kind of go back to the beginning of like, do you have a strategy in place? Do you need help with a strategy? Do you have any tools that you're using currently? And then I love those process questions where, walk me through how you're trying to do this manual process today. And then I'll help, come up with a solution, in leveraging AI. So, I think it could lead to some big things if you have that just easy conversation. So I love that question. That was a great question.
Hey, one of the other things I probably would ask them about is if they have anybody who's being left behind, right? Is everybody in the company in on this, or is it only a certain people that are on the AI project? Who else should we talk to about what they're doing with AI in your company, right? So you're not always talking to the right person. Or the only person, right? So be sure to ask that question too is really important.
A lot of the MSPs I talk to about AI, they're like, I don't know enough about it to feel comfortable to stand up and teach a class. I can't do that, James. It's like, well, you don't have to do that. You're there to kind of help design, think of it like a project. You're there to help design and come up with the scope of the project. And then the training side, you can leverage, there's a lot of great resources like Bigger Brains, third-party training companies that have got dedicated training available. Companies like Empath, those are good MSP training partners to have in your portfolio that you could leverage. You could resell their training to your end users. And there's a lot of good online trainings as well. So don't be afraid of that. So, hey, I wanted to talk about Alibaba a little bit. So that's the China's big behemoth company that just came out with a new AI model that looks like it's going to rival a lot of the US based competitors. Did you hear about that one?
I did, yeah. China's been coming out with a lot of AI models, and actually, it's making our federal government nervous. So their capabilities are turning out to be possibly greater than the capabilities that we have, in our own companies that are developing models. China's also come out with a lot of small models. And the interesting thing about the small models is they're taking the big ones and distilling them down, using them to train these little models, and the little models do something more specific. And to me, I think that's probably more of the future than a great big huge model.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a lot more efficient to run.
Yeah. It's I'm with you. I have a hard time trusting this technology that it's not going to steal my data and do something with it. That's something I would recommend that we watch very closely. If the government feels that way, they're doing it for a reason. So
yeah, there's a big thing in the news over the weekend about a whole bunch of devices got banned from new imports from China because they contain AI. And one of them was the Roomba. So watch out for your vacuum cleaner.
turn into a killer vacuum cleaner. Who knows?
Killer bag, it's collecting all your data and sending it back to China or something. Who knows what is going on? But it was interesting to see that, it's not just business goods that are on this newly banned list for containing AI. It's a lot of consumer goods as well. So I'm not sure exactly what it is that they're worried about, but the list was long and varied, really, surprisingly so. Like we banned drones from China a while ago. And now we're going to ban vacuum cleaners. Hey, one more thing, let me just add, it's very tangentially maybe related to this topic. Mark Zuckerberg put out a manifesto over the weekend, 6,500 words. So I think everybody should probably read it. From what I have not read it yet. I plan to.
Mm-hmm.
From what I saw, he does talk about these models, the slow models, whether it's a danger or a benefit to use that distilling method, to use one model to train another model. I personally worry about distilling a little bit, as I'm reminded of what I used to tell the techs in my business. I would say, here's our procedure. And I need you to follow it. We're going to follow it. Like, this is how we do things. But when you tell somebody about it, you need to tell them all the steps in the procedure, because if you tell them the way that you do it, they're going to leave out some step along the way as they create their way of implementing that procedure. So we always have to start from the original source. And that's what I think about with these distilling models. Like, we got the big AI, and they use the big AI to train the little AIs, and then somebody takes the little AI and turns it into something. Now we've taken a something and made it smaller and made it smaller and made it smaller. I feel like it's going to get dumber along the way instead of smarter.
Right. Like our vacuum cleaners.
Much like your vacuum cleaner. Well, apparently the vacuum cleaner's gone the opposite way. The vacuum cleaner's gotten a little too smart.
This episode is supported by IT Service Provider University. ITSPU delivers structured education for IT service professionals who want to improve how their managed services business actually operates. Courses cover service models, agreements, pricing, customer service systems, and front office workflows, with an emphasis on building repeatable processes and operational consistency. It's practical, opinionated training designed for MSPs who want clearer systems, not just more content. Learn more at itspu.com.
Well, hey, another question that came in, I wanted to talk about this because I think it was a great one, and it's not the sexy questions like the AI questions, but it's a really important one. What tools and how should you manage effective staff meetings?
The best tool that you can have is a stopwatch and a plan. Like, I like to focus the meeting on particular topics and don't stray on it, right? We're going to have another meeting next week. So whatever else, we'll just put it on the agenda for next week.
Yeah. The strategy of the meetings, just some rules of thumb I would always recommend. Have it the same time, same day every week. start on time regardless of who's late or who's early. You always start the meetings on time. It's a respect. It's respect for people in the room and also accountability for the ones that aren't. I like having, like Amy hinted at, like having agendas. So you're going to be talking about the same things week over week. But people come in mentally prepared if they know what the topics are in advance. It's hard for me to sit still for long periods of time, but I want to make it an effective meeting, an important meeting, and get things done, but time it. And there's a couple, it's interesting, the question came in and asking if there's a tool to help you manage it. There's two really good tools that I've seen that I love recommending to my clients. Number one is a tool called 90.io, 90, and then another good tool called Scrutiny. And they're both a little bit different, but similar, where there's a timer in there that will keep you, because I like having time allotments for each one of the agenda items. So it'll help the facilitator and help you from wasting lots of time. There's escalations, there's to-dos. You can get email alerts after the meeting. Obviously, it will take notes, but it'll help you keep track of your meetings and making more meaningful to people, especially in the hybrid model where there's people in other remote locations or maybe a handful of people in a conference room. Everybody's looking at the same page. So I love those tools as well. But
yeah, that reminds me, there's a new tool in Teams called Facilitator. So you can invite the facilitator to your meeting and you just put the agenda into the chat, and that facilitator tool sees it and it puts on, it looks at it, sees the topics, puts times on them, and then starts and stops those questions for you. Like, it doesn't make you stop talking, but it puts on the screen, hey, end of time for this, beginning of time for that kind of thing.
Also wanted to talk about ChannelCon, some of the outcomes from the 2026 ChannelCon out in San Diego. One of the things that caught my eye, Amy, was the creation of this new managed intelligence alliance called the Alliance, but it was really designed to help with AI standards and accreditation and also industry governance for MSPs. I know we both were talking about that a little bit before the show here, but what are some of your thoughts there?
Well, I'm not very optimistic about this thing. I mean, well, first off, Managed Intelligence Alliance, MIA. That does. What's the missing bit of this is what immediately came to mind. And what's missing are the actual MSPs. So when I read into this, because I was interested in it, this is something that we've tried to do over at the National Society of IT Service Providers.
Right.
One of the reasons we were formed was to help the industry create standards and grow up. I think that's an important thing for us to do. But when I looked at this, I said, okay, what are they actually doing? Well, they had a big announcement about their executive committee members, and the executive committee is New Charter, which is an MSP aggregator firm, P-type backed money firm. The 20, which same deal, right? They buy MSPs and put them together for a payday later. And then PAX 8, one of the large distributors in our industry.
Yeah.
And I look at those and I think, well, yeah, what's missing? All the actual MSPs that are missing, right? I always felt very strongly that MSPs, we know actually what the standards should be, and we should have a seat at the table for creating those standards.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That was disappointing. To me, it feels like instead of more of a steering committee or a leadership team, it's sponsors with their own agenda, right? That's what it feels like to me.
It sounds like sponsors, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Texas A&M is involved too. So apparently they have experience in creating industry associations. And so they've engaged Texas A&M and given them some amount of money to actually do that job. So it sounds like the GTIA is actually going to be a step back, and Texas A&M is going to be leading it with this executive committee. So,
And Business of Tech actually did some live interviews there at the conference. So let's hear more about this topic on one of those interviews.
The way I've kind of looked at this is like we have been very good at the grassroots efforts, like new framework, new methodology, new approach, right? And we have not participated in it, but there's been people that have already attempted to influence government, and we know that the likes of Microsoft and others spend a lot of money on lobbying. What we've never done is organize in a way where we can actually recognize the different methodologies and the different frameworks, and also have a voice that's big enough to be heard by the large companies and the lobbyists so that we can represent ourselves. And so this is really a middle-out approach. You think about the ones you just referenced, those have operated much like a grassroots. It's every company at one at a time, right? No matter how much money you put in, you still have to do it one at a time. The other way is just like, well, let's just throw some money at it, see if we can get a law written, and then it'll just be forced down. Right, where it's done to us, and it's actually quite detrimental, and it's a huge liability for the organization if that happens. This is an attempt for us to kind of go middle out, right, where we get together as a group and form and even let MSPs, because self-regulatory organization will primarily, almost exclusively, be operated by MSPs. We haven't designed it yet, but I'm pretty sure that the professors that are in the School of Law and Economics will recommend that MSPs are the president of their state chapters, and that they represent the role of secretary and treasurer, and they meet. It'll be without us. It'll be without the media, without vendors, it'll be managed service providers or IT service providers. That collective voice creates an aggregation point that is, I think, a one-to-many and creates scale for us to do this right this time.
Tales from the field.
So, Amy, I had another call recently that on a business that didn't think they were worth very much. It was a one-man band, just single owner operator. It was a virtual organization. They didn't have contracts, and they didn't think their business was worth very much money. But lo and behold, I talked to them and I said, hey, here's what I think the business is worth. And here's the process. I was trying to educate them on the process because they've never done it before. I said, listen, this is a big decision. I want you and your wife to sit down tonight, just sleep on it and get back to me tomorrow. I'm going to email you my DocuSign agreement. It's a simple one-page agreement for you to check out. But, think about it tonight. You guys come up with a decision and then just reach out tomorrow. And I think I sent it within 5 minutes. I get a red receipt and signature on it. And I called him back. I go, gosh, I guess you didn't need to really think about it as much. And he goes, no, I think we're ready to go. So anyway, I just getting ready to market that. But I think it's interesting that a lot of people out there, there's a lot of, it's a seller's market. There's a lot of people interested in buying books of business. And I'm certain that this will be a positive outcome because they thought their business was worth nothing, and it's worth a lot more than that.
You and I both represent businesses, and the reason I started doing it is because of that exact story. I was talking to people, and they're like, what are your plans? And they're like, well, I just, someday I'll just close the doors. Maybe I'll get somebody to take the clients. They'll need to go somewhere. Like, every business is worth something. There is no such thing as a worthless business. You put 20, 30 years into building this business. Somebody will pay you for that. This is an asset, just like your house. It's probably worth more than your house. And, you should be selling it at the end. That should just the normal process of owning a business is at the end, you sell it to somebody. That's just how it works.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Amy and I would love to hear from you. So if you've got a question of the week or a topic you want to bring before us and have us talk about, we'd love record a video clip of yourself and you can submit it to the smbcommunitypodcast.com website, or just reach out to James at kernetconsulting.com. We'd love to get your feedback.
Thank you for listening and/or watching. Remember, Dave breaks down the IT news of the day on his show, The Business of Tech, which drops at 5 p.m. Eastern, Mondays through Fridays, with bonus content on the weekends.
Watching this on YouTube? Be sure to like and subscribe so you always know you've got our latest episode. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to use the contact form on the SMB Community Podcast webpage. That's smbcommunitypodcast.com. Or leave your comments on our YouTube episode page. Produced by Picture This Video. Part of the MSP Radio Network.